Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided I would do a recap of Lowcowbus and all of their videos with Amber thus far as I sat through them all, unfortunately. Let me just start off by saying the obvious for people who have watched and a recap for the people who haven't. 1, the show is very clearly scripted at points. 2, Amber is so unbearable on this show. Her constant threats to quit and her constant complaints about how she looks in the thumbnails is like clockwork at this point, and it's honestly really tiring. Real quick, let me show you how she reacted when Boogie came on and suggested that she's lucky she even fits in the thumbnail.
Hope you get cancer, motherfucker.
Okay. I might.
Yeah, not a good look, Amber. I personally have a lot of opinions on this clip for many reasons. 1, Amber, you had your own cancer journey, so you should know how awful it is to wish upon anyone else. 2nd, after watching my own family go through cancer and suffer from it, that is not something I would wish upon the worst of the worst people. Now, obviously, I'm new to all this YouTube stuff, so I'm not sure if this is correct, but there's no way this looks good for you trying to get your monetization back, right? Alright, now let's recap. Basically, all of the shows have been incredibly boring, except for certain points in certain live streams. Amber has done a lot of threatening to quit, a lot of complaining, a lot of crying when she doesn't get her way, and like you see, when she has no comeback, she just wishes the worst upon people. Now, scripted or not, something I found really interesting was that she almost didn't expect for people to send in super chats to, point out the awful things she's done and call her awful names. I feel like that was just something that was a given. So, they're super chatting, calling her a cat unaliver and all this stuff, and she was just overwhelmed. Additionally, it's made itself very clear that Scooter knows absolutely nothing about Amber and all the lore that goes with her, but Sweetie has been surprising me as she seems to know a little bit more than I thought. Although I must say, I think my favorite part about Sweetie is that she is secretly a Jordy stan and it's coming out, and Amber just hates it so much. It's so funny. Here, I'll show you a clip.
Does Jordy look in the mirror ever?
Jordy's a handsome man.
Sweet tea.
This is funny for a number of reasons to me, but I think one of the most, hilarious parts about all this is that, she doesn't care that it bothers Amber. Sweetie has said on multiple occasions that she goes back and watches Jordy's live streams and takes notes on things to ask Amber, which honestly, I think that's pretty cool. I think that she's trying her best to do the research. But honestly, the whole thing with reaction channels on Lowcowbus is super annoying, as they call them detractor channels, which makes no sense because I don't even know how to explain why it makes no sense. One of the most iconic moments that have happened very recently is Amber weighing in live. It was debunked, or at least is in the talks, that she had faked it or had altered it in some way, shape, or form. But still, her weighing in live is something we have not seen in a hot second, as she used to ask for $500 in order to do it. So her doing it was a little shocking to me. I'm not going to lie. I thought she wasn't gonna. And while we're on the topic of monetary status, if you will, something she also said is that she had made thousands of dollars on Cameo since her demonetization, which, again, makes no sense to me, because if you were making so much money off of it and so many people were buying it at your $80 price, why did you consistently lower it down to $30? You know what I mean? That just doesn't make sense. I feel like if you were making that much money, you'd keep it at that price. One of my favorite moments that has come out of Lowcowbus is Amber admitting to her and Emily/Tommy, being back together in a relationship, which honestly does not shock me, but was very, difficult for me to hear. I personally don't understand how she's going to sit here and have said all these things about Emily during the breakup and then get back with that person who she exposed for being an awful human being. Despite the facts that we already knew pre-breakup, such as the weird forums and sites she was on and the Tumblrs and the people she was in correspondence with, after the breakup, Amber, exposed her, quote-unquote, for some very, heinous things. Amber then, in a live stream on Lowcowbus, went on to say that, she was just saying these things because she was unhinged. Here's the clip.
Here. So when I said now I can lose weight when me and Tommy broke up, I was being unhinged. I say the most wildest things when I'm unhinged.
So I think it's safe to say I'm not alone here when I automatically thought, okay, so everything she said during that time period was a lie. It was just her being unhinged, or however she wants to describe it, her BPD meltdown, whatever she wants to say. But then another super chat came in asking about a kicking scenario, and she said that wasn't a lie.
No, that was not a lie, but it's something that we are working on behind the scenes.
So this was interesting to me for a few reasons. One, because if you're not lying about it, why are you just picking and choosing what to say was a lie? And my answer came really quickly when realizing it's because she's going through this whole thing of trying to convince the internet that Emily is in support of her weight loss journey. Exhibit A.
Actually thinks I'm beautiful. Like, sorry. Does she force me to eat? Never. Does she support me in my weight loss? Always.
I think it goes without saying, we all know that's a lie, but she's clearly trying to backtrack on everything she had said at one point, including her clip where she said that she woke her up with Buffalo Wild Wings because all she wanted to do was feed her and make her grow. In the absolute worst way possible, it's a little iconic that she's lied so much she doesn't even remember what's reality. I mean, it's sad, but you know what I mean. In one of the live streams, she also mentioned that they're handling this stuff offline and they're growing and she doesn't want it online anymore. But girl, you brought it online. This is on you completely. And Emily, she went to Snowflake, you went online, it was just a mess. Obviously, we know the whole thing happened with Rachel's channel as well, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so odd that you bring this online to try to gain support, and then as soon as it's no longer benefiting you, you want it offline. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I'm really shocked that Amber is still on the Lowcowbus. I think it's kind of odd, to be honest. I didn't think she'd last that first 2 days, but then it became clear that her threatening to quit was just going to be part of the show. It's really unbearable to watch. I sat through the live streams in real time the way I could kind of get the clips right away and whatnot. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that anymore, only through reaction channels. I mean, like, it's so unwatchable. It's just boring, and then when it's not boring, it's scripted. There's really no winning. Something else I want to touch on really quickly is her obsession with Jordy. I know I mentioned it briefly in the beginning of this video, but it has become insane. She, at points, was even saying that Jordy ruined her life, which is bizarre to me because all Jordy does is react to your life decisions that you have made. Your own poor decisions ruined your life, Amber. Not a reaction channel, not the haters, no one but you. Also, like, I don't get how she's trying to make it seem like people hate her because of her body. I know she's been trying to do this for ages now, but it makes no sense because every time she says that, someone pulls up something heinous she did in the past, and she's like, no, you're just saying that's bad because of how I look. And it's just like, are you fucking for real? For anyone kind of just now tuning into the Lowcowbus, I personally really recommend Apathetic Fox. They do a fantastic job at recapping and all that stuff. It makes it slightly more bearable. It's still an awful show, but they do a really good job. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this short recap of Lowcowbus and just some of my thoughts on the most famous moments that have come out of it thus far. I'm going to be doing my best to post pretty frequently and continue to give updates on Amber and revisit old situations. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and like the video. If you're more interested in live updates, you can follow me on Twitter at CatieKnowsNada or on TikTok at Katie.knows.nothing. But with all this being said, I hope you guys have a great day and thank you so much for watching. Definitely tune back in for the next one. Okay, bye!